Greetings all. Happy 4th of July. Yes, I do believe over the last 15 years on YouTube, I probably have done a few videos on the 4th of July. Most likely they were recipes. Okay, yeah, so, the 4th of July is probably one of my favorite holidays. I like Halloween a lot too. Okay, I love scaring children. But, yeah, 4th of July, I mean, we're talking some of my favorite things on earth. Beer? Yeah. Oh, burgers? Wow. Barbecue with friends and family? Yeah. Okay, and high-energy explosives, enough gunpowder to blow your head right off. Oh, man. Yeah, I guess I kind of gotten over it a bit as I got older, but when I was a younger man, I was a serious pyro. Oh, did I love fireworks. Oof, anything with gunpowder, wow. Yeah, we should build our own. Yeah, well, I had a few accidents along the line where some of the stuff went off wrong and seriously endangered us. These days I sit back and on the porch here and I watch everybody else blow them off. It's almost as much fun as lighting them myself. That's what the 4th of July always meant to me, but I'll tell you this time around, there's more meaning, and I actually wish that I didn't feel inclined to have to make a message in this regard. 4th of July is, the date of the founding of this nation. And now, one thing to remember, very important, we did all of this experiment, and it's never been done before, okay? We did all of it in the process of escaping monarchy and a single-man ruler dictatorship, okay? We did this experiment to get away from all of that. It's been fairly successful. By and large, over the years, it's worked out. There's been some faults and flaws, and you can see what happens when you do not respect this experiment. Yeah. We had a civil war at one time. Disagreement became so intense between people in this country that they almost destroyed it. Lucky for all of us, and including the people who lost the Civil War, I firmly believe it's a good thing that things stayed together, that we still have this union. Okay, well, this union doesn't happen by accident. It happens because we believe in it. Yeah, I know. I don't believe in anything, right? Yeah, well, it's true. I don't. But I prefer to believe in the America that I grew up in and the sort of things that we kind of tend to believe about this nation. I prefer to believe that over some of this stuff you hear about how we're gonna throw out the Constitution and then we're gonna have a revolution and we're gonna remake the country. Well, the question I have about all of that is, what are these people planning to remake it into? Yeah, revolution, as John Trudell, a famous Native American poet songwriter, said, revolution goes round and round at 33 1/3 RPM, man. That's, in other words, it comes back where it starts eventually. It really doesn't tend to bring us much of anywhere. Yeah, and I suppose you could say at this point, maybe the American Revolution, it hasn't brought us anywhere either, because you got people out there talking about having a revolution. Okay, now, let's check this out. We got an immigration problem, particularly at the southern border. Now, don't notice Canadians flocking over the border into the United States, okay? And you don't really notice too many Americans becoming expat, with the exception of economic arguments in retirement. And a lot of retired people like to go to Greece and other places where they can live higher on their Social Security. Yeah, you see a bit of that, but it's minor compared to what's happening on our southern border right now. Now, to some extent, not completely, but to some extent, our own government is actually responsible for a lot of what's happening there. We have spent a fortune, and we have spent a long time destabilizing governments in Central America. Yeah, we overthrew democratically elected president of Guatemala because of the American Fruit Corporation, and so on and so forth. Okay, and if you think Castro taking Cuba was, totally all about, the promotion of communism, it was more about throwing the American mobsters and all the other stuff off the island, because, boy, that used to be a playground for us, man. We just used Central America for whatever. Bananas, gambling, whores, whatever. Yeah, that's kind of how it has been. We haven't been good with them. The whole Contra thing, and the Noriega Panama thing, and the war on drugs. I think it was a war for drugs, personally. I think we use them to control people in the ghettos and such in this society. If you keep the ghettos fired up on crack, they probably don't organize the Black Panthers and attempt to overthrow the government, because they're too busy chasing each other around with guns over drugs and hoes. That was just a thought. I don't know whether there's truth to it. But yeah, this is an experiment, and it's fragile, people. Yeah, absolutely. It is fragile. It really is only as strong as the people that help to hold it together. And all those people at the southern border, they aren't there because Joe Biden's a liberal. They aren't even there because Donald Trump is a lying scumbag. It's got nothing to do with that, really. They're there mostly because things in their own nations are destabilized and real bad, and they've heard things up here are pretty darn good. And guess what? By comparison, they are. In fact, things here are so much better than they are in many places around the world. Now, I'm not saying everywhere, I mean, I probably comfortably live in most of the EU and most European countries. Culture's a little different, but I don't think I have any serious problems with living there. People there tend to be pretty comfortable, some more comfortable than us here, etc. Language barrier and a different culture, probably the biggest problem for me. But there are a whole lot of other places where people are suffering terribly. I mean, we look at Central America, Africa, the Middle East these days. Oh, my goodness. Just take one look at what's going on in Ukraine right now. You want to feel lucky? Do you feel lucky? Punk? Yeah, that's what it was. Clint Eastwood. Feel lucky, punk? Yeah, well, it's, we got it good. And I personally, I guess maybe I got it better than the rest of you. I don't know. I've been fairly comfortable living in this nation for the last 73 years. But yeah, I haven't always been as well off as I am today. Luck partially, yeah. Synchronicities, a little serendipity, and a little bit of smarts on my part as far as, looking towards the future to see, where am I going? What am I doing with this? And so I helped shape this thing. I had a lot of help with it, but I have not always been in such a wonderful situation as I am today in this country. There was a time as a child that I lived in overt poverty. I remember it, but, well, I guess maybe it's because I was just a kid, or maybe it's just the way my brain's put together, but I don't remember anything about it that wants to make me cry, yell, scream, or whatever. It just was. Yeah. I made the best of it. There are parts of those memories, actually, that are very fond. Yeah, you can suffer Yeah, it is possible to suffer here. But then again, oftentimes a lot of our suffering is psychological. So much of our suffering in this country is psychological and doesn't really have too much to do with anything that's actually physically real. And, well, the nation's a psychological state. It's a state of mind. Yeah. Thought this whole thing up, put it into action. It's been working pretty good. It's an experiment. It's really unlike anything that has ever occurred before. And you have to respect it in order to maintain it. And this is structured on the basis of laws and documents we call constitutions and bills of rights and so forth. There's a whole lot of structure that hopefully keeps this thing boxed within certain checks. As a man who ran business for years, I know the best way that you prevent fires is by having procedures and policies that tell you what to do when you get into certain situations. Well, currently we are now in a situation that we've never experienced before. Yeah, sure. We got Stumbling Joe up there who's got a long history in the country's government, and it's been pretty good personally as far as I'm concerned. His performance at least has shown that he's a considerate person and an honest man, and that's up against just a lying SOB that just doesn't have any passion for the truth whatsoever, and has said that he will go after his political enemies. He will destroy the Constitution, that we need a monarchy and a strong dictator. This is Adolf Hitler, folks. Yeah, this type of thing has happened before. And I do wish most Americans were better versed in history and understood the nature of our laws. This is a representational democracy where we go ahead and we elect people, they go into office, and they hopefully do our bidding for us, okay? And what they do is structured within a framework of laws and so forth and so on. But currently, we do have a number of people in power who have actually seem to have forgotten. Yeah, when you start to instill mistrust in people, so they do not trust the system anymore, they have no trust in their leaders and so on, well, things start to fall apart. So what happens here, folks, is entirely up to you, but I appeal to you. On the 4th of July, while you drink your beer and Pepsi or eat your burgers or eat your vegan tofu or whatever you're doing out there, remember, it's an experiment, it's fragile, and it's up to the people that live inside the experiment to see that the experiment continues. I'm telling you, man, if things just continued the way they've been, I ain't gonna complain about it. But when you change, you better have a plan. You need a plan before you try to strike any kind of an action. Remember, it's an experiment, it's fragile, and it only exists because people believe it exists. Stop believing, poof. Yeah. Find Americans on the Mexican border heading south because conditions in El Salvador or Guatemala are better than they are here. Well, keep it up. Yeah, life in Central America might just get to be better. We're going to have an exchange. Central Americans can have this darn place and we'll end up moving south. It's all crazy. Okay. Aloha. Hang loose. You all have a wonderful 4th.